Welcome back, Nuggets, to a new devlog. And today we're going to try a new format in which things are a little bit more loose and a little less scripted. So let's see how that goes, and let me know in the comments down below if you like this style of video or if I should return to my previously a bit more polished, well-rounded videos, but those might take a little bit longer to create. So what I wanted to talk about today was the future of Wrenched. As you all know, we have just finished and wrapped up a alpha testing period wherein you guys were able to try out the Wrenched alpha, and the results are in, and I wanted to discuss those results with you and go over some of the things that you guys really hated and go over some of the things that you guys really liked and look ahead to what I am going to do with all those results. And well, as I said, what's the future of Wrenched? So, looking at the results, there are, I guess, two really big things that stood out. The first of all was, which is crazy for a sort of hack and slash type bullet hell game, is that you guys thought that combat was pretty boring. And I actually kind of agree with you guys. Of course, there are only 3 attacks that Carly has right now. She has sort of a mid attack and 3 quick attacks and a jump attack. There are some extra attacks to unlock, like this spinning attack, which looks like this. I'll put it up on the screen. But I don't think any of you actually used it. So yeah, the combat system could definitely use a big upgrade. Now, lucky for me, I still have some buttons free on the gamepad and on the keyboard with the controls, because the controls of Wrenched are fairly simple. So there might actually be some leeway into introducing heavy attacks, introducing more combos, and actually making combat a little bit more interesting. Now, if you've guys seen my older videos, I used to have like a post-it board up on my wall. I will put that back as I get back into development for Wrenched. And one of the things that was always on there was Combat 2.0. So from the get-go, I agreed with you guys. Combat is a little bit, well, monotone, I guess. So in the future, I will definitely be working on improving that. Now, another big point was the final boss. For the few of you that actually made it to the final boss, because if we're looking at the numbers, not everyone finished the game for multiple reasons. For those of you that came to the final boss was a bit of a letdown. And actually, from the people that got to the final boss, only 3 or 4 people actually finished the game, just because the final boss wasn't working. As you've been watching this channel for a little bit longer, you know that boss fights have been challenging for me, also because it's really difficult to create something memorable, something challenging, but also at the same time something not as challenging as, you know, to sort of block players and have players get stuck on certain bosses, which happened on one of the mid-tier bosses, the Steel Brothers. So yeah, making a good, memorable boss is difficult, and especially for something like a final boss, which of course should be the pièce de résistance of the game. It's really difficult to get that right, because you want to make it difficult, but you don't want to make it too difficult. You want to make it memorable, but you don't want to make it like the super craziest boss so that it doesn't fit the game or the theme or any of the other bosses, so that if somebody finishes it, they're like, wait, this boss was like mega cool. Why were all the other bosses so lame? So it's really difficult to balance it. And you also want to create an experience that sort of shows off that everything you got. And in the time leading up to the alpha demo, I was actually, well, mainly working on the final boss, trying to get it right, and I changed it 2 or 3 times, but apparently it wasn't enough. And at some point I just said, well, I gotta ship this demo, I gotta get this out, I gotta, you know, let the people decide what they think, let them come with feedback, let them come with ideas and suggestions. And the final boss, it just didn't work. But I have good hopes that it will be okay. I will actually be getting some help on redesigning the final boss, which is, well, I guess needed and something that I'm really excited about. So I am optimistic for the future that the final boss will be that final cherry, cherry nugget, that final cherry on top of the game. Obviously, there were also things you guys liked. One of the things that people really liked was the squid boss, which is, if you've been a subscriber to the channel for a longer, and if you haven't, scroll down to, I think it was devlog 12 and 13 where we made squid. Squid, of course, was for the first demo, a boss that we made for the first demo. So that was a boss that was actually, it had some art, it had some design, it had some audio, it had some effects. You know, it was a bit more finished boss than all the other gray boxed bosses. So I get why people really like that, and the ideas of Squid were also a bit more thought out. So I get why that was people's favorite boss, you know, especially opposite of their least favorite boss, the final boss. And people also really liked the tunnel levels, which are, well, perhaps not accidentally, also some of my favorite levels. I think the mechanics that we've using over there with the bombs and all the explosive enemies and the deadly poisonous water and the sort of the layout of the tunnels, it being a bit more 2.5D, I think that really works great for a game like Wrenched. And I think that's why people really gravitated towards those levels and really liked those levels. And overall, if you look at the feedback, then people say the game has promise. And that is something that I have been gripping to with all my might, hoping that in the end I can make a game that people, well, hopefully love, but at least like. You know, I've been telling people this, talking about it. I'm going for a, well, what's that in American? I'm going for a B plus. That's, I guess, what I'm going for. I know that I'm not going to make the greatest masterpiece in the world, but I am also not going to make the worst game ever. So if I end up somewhere in that range, I will be really, really happy with the finished project. With the finished product, of course. And so that leaves us with what the future of Wrenched will be. What will I be doing right now? Well, with all the alpha demo feedback and the forms that you guys filled out, there was also a lot of bugs. Well, not big bugs, but some small bugs that need to be squashed and need to be fixed and tested. There's also a lot of suggestions and ideas from you guys that I'm definitely going to take and put them in my pocket and use them to make the game better, because that is what I've been, well, keep saying, right? I hope that you guys can help me make Wrenched better, because in the end I am making Wrenched, well, somewhat for myself, but also mainly for you guys to enjoy and to play and to hopefully add to your collection of games that you've loved. And if you can do that by sort of helping me and sort of putting your own signature on Wrenched, well, how amazing would that be? So I'm definitely taking all that feedback, taking that into account, and seeing if there are sort of trends in the feedback. Well, one of those trends, of course, was the final boss and the combat, but there are some more things like with camera positioning and some platforming issues. And I'm really wanting to take that into account to sort of, for the future of Wrenched, make the game better. I'm also working finally on some art. And, well, it has been some time since I last posted a devlog, and I have actually been streaming and working on the game. So let me run you through how the first level looked and how it is looking right now. As you can see, things are looking very empty and very grey boxy. There was some art here in the buildings, as I was already experimenting and trying out a new art pipeline and workflow, but overall there's nothing much to see and nothing much to it, which is, well, perfect to test out if the game is working. All the interactive elements and enemy placement was sort of final at this point, or at least if there wasn't any feedback on that, so you could really test how this level worked. But And I hope you guys are ready for this, because this is how this same level looks right now. If I say so myself, that is looking pretty awesome. So I've been really experimenting and trying out new ways of creating art and sort of setting up a new art pipeline, because I want to do it a little bit different than I have been doing. What I have been trying is making things a little bit, well, maybe too modular, which in a way is a good thing, but it can also really hamper your creative visions, right? If you try to create everything from a single set of building blocks, then everything will start to look too much the same, and you don't really have a flexibility unless you create a wide array and a wide variety of building blocks. But I want to make things a little bit more specific, and I want to make things a little bit more tailored to what I'm trying to create. Nevertheless, skinning all these levels will take a long time. So that is why I have already started. And I hope that you guys will join me on stream, where I usually, well, a couple of times a week, stream making art and skinning the levels. And I love conversing with you guys and talking with you guys and getting your ideas and your suggestions on what to do and how to make things look. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, perhaps even hit that bell button, because then you get a notification when I stream and when I go live. And I usually post it in our Discord as well, of which there's a link in the description down below as well. So in the next video, I want to be looking a little bit closer at all the things that we have done, because on stream we've created some really cool things to place some grass and to place the prefabs for the material pickups. And there are some systems over there that we created, which I think are really interesting to take a look at how I'm tackling those, because, you know, placing objects and creating levels and, well, as we call skinning levels, can be really, really time consuming. So it might be really interesting if you're in that same position and you want some shortcuts and some tips on how to do that, or just look at my workflow. We'll be discussing that in the next video. And in the meantime, again, as we started, let me know in the comments down below if you like this style of video just as much as the old videos, or perhaps not at all, because I think I can make a lot more videos in this format than in the format that I have been doing. So maybe if you're just interested in more videos, also drop that in the comments and let me know. And in the meantime, thank you all for watching, thank you all for testing, and I hope to see you in the Discord, on the streams, and on my social medias. Everything's linked down below, and I will see you all in the next one.